I'm so happy that I have a little bit of concern about. Spent quite a bit of time in this room prior to my election, and once upon a time there was considerable concern about the manner in which our website was used to further personal objectives. Are the board members of that time familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yes, and we made a resolution that the supervisor could not put anything on the website without approval of the town board.
Okay, now then my next question would be, where, now that we've dictated a particular line with that, where do we stop that line with the use of certain entities in regard to furthering one's own direction?
What do you mean by entities?
That would be any one of us as an entity.
Well, I would make a resolution that any elected official who puts anything on the website has to
I'm
go.
not talking about just the website, I'm talking about other venues that are, for all intents and purposes, a town venue where something inappropriately was dictated or put forth.
Can we have a specific?
And come to my attention, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm specifically looking for either.
I thought you said the website.
Well, that was the specific example, was the website.
Yeah.
But in so many cases, and you being an attorney, I'm sure you'll understand, there you have certain things that flow over, one of which is freedom of speech, freedom of the press. These are freedom of expression. These are things that fall under the same broad language.
But not for the town website.
No, but where I'm going, Judy, is I'm drawing an analogy. And what I'm concerned about is it had come back to me from two people, and I take this very personally, and I'm actually looking for either a public acknowledgement and denial that there was on a bus for a youth group trip someone who stood up and made allegations of funding for youth programs being cut by Mr. Fiore and myself over the loudspeaker of the bus, which I find wildly inappropriate, and I have grave concerns about that.
Well, I'll address that issue. I was the one on the bus and said that this program, the youth program, was reinstituted 12 years ago with Mary Barbuti and myself. This is my last year on the town board. We worked very hard to keep this program. There are rumors, and your names were not mentioned, there are rumors that this program might be cut. So if you want to continue with these programs, you have to let the town know that you support them and that they're great. That's all that was said, okay? No names were mentioned.
Certainly hope not.
It wasn't.
All right.
And then people in the office are the ones that said they were told that they were being considered, there's consideration. So no, there were no names mentioned. And it's true. In this town, if you want something to exist and you want it, you have to speak up. I think you understand that. There's certain people here who do, to make sure that things get done. So that's what was said. So if you want the youth program to continue, you have to show there's an interest. So let us know about it.
So what you're saying is that the people on the bus, they definitely did not hear you direct that comment at anybody?
No.
Now, I would like to ask you a question.
Yes.
Have you ever been involved in any conversation where the discussion of cutting the youth programs has come up in regards to this town board?
Yes, and I don't want to mention it out in public, but yes.
Well, it's town business.
Okay, well, it was mentioned with the youth program, the youth director, when there was talk about wanting to cut it. The youth director, what was that, a year ago? Dr. Justus, I'm trying to remember.
That was not in our tenure.
No, you were here a year ago.
There was never any consideration that I recall.
Yeah, that there was last fall, and it was an issue that you felt that Sari came to us through a recommendation of somebody who used to be involved in the town board, and we said, no way, Jose. that her resume was reviewed just as everyone else's, and no one made any recommendations to hire her. She was the most qualified person of everyone to be hired.
I'm not recalling that. And what venue would this have happened? A budgetary meeting?
No, in the office.
No, we didn't discuss anything like that at budget time.
To my knowledge, I've never been any part of that conversation.
Okay. Then
Well,
fine.
you know, the thing is, now that this has been put on the table, yes, we look at every single program and every single item on the budget. And we look to save money, but we don't look to do it at the sacrifice of perhaps a program which is beneficial to the most important people in our town. That's our children. And I happen to know that everybody in town hall, whenever there was a shortfall for a particular program that was offered, a party or something like that, I'm very proud, and I have said this at meetings, that people who work in the town hall often ponied up money on their own to make sure that would be taken care of. That's how disinterested people in the town are in town activities that involve children. They put their own money in to take care of it. So there's no way that we're looking to stiff our children. Okay. All right, Ted, consider your inquiry answered at this time. Are there any other announcements? I will tell you that the pool was a tad late in opening this year, and of course there were some rain days that it wouldn't have been opened on anyway. So in order to compensate for that, so that our children were able to have a full summer of swimming that went to camp, little certificates were issued to them which would allow them to swim for 10 more days during a specified period of time. And it was mistakenly, there was the mistaken notion that the parents had to pay also to come with the children. That was not the notion. It was meant that the children were allowed to swim for free. It was a get out of paying to swim for free card. The parents, if they wanted to swim, had to pay. It's just that simple. Well, I usually don't accept,
Just an inquiry about the dates.
I don't have them on
Oh.
Todd right now. You have to excuse me for that.
I'm just wondering if it was beyond the already extended time period.
It was after the camp finished,
Okay.
but yet not to the very end of the season. It was
Okay.
a 2-week period. And I asked Sarah even, and she couldn't remember if it included the weekends, so that's why I couldn't give the dates. I can provide dates to people if they have questions about that. We're not going to go crazy over 4 days for Pete's sake. Indeed, that's the situation. As long as the kids get wet, do cannonballs and things like that, providing there's water in the pool. Okay. So it was our attempt to allow the children to swim a little bit more. Okay. Announcements, please. Dr. Justus.
Yeah, I'd just like to say the Renaissance program is
Congratulations.
completed. We had 4 wonderful projects come in. Out in Phillipsport, they put in a lovely garden as you're driving along 209, and they were a winner in that category. Bloomberg at a Lady of the Assumption Church had done work more on meditation garden. The Bashkill was involved with replacing light bulbs, and they had helped us also as well with the Wordsboro project. And Wordsboro this year was able to obtain the $50,000 Golden Feather grant. And I just want to thank everyone who was involved, and I look forward to next year. I've already spoken to the Mamakating Historical Society of putting a little garden there, and I'll help with the paperwork and all that way. And if there's any other groups that would want help with the paperwork, I'm more than happy to help.
Can I ask you a question, Paul? This one is a matching grant, right?
No.
Because last year you guys got the second one, which was $10,000, right?
2 years ago, we
That
got
was 2 years ago?
$2,500.
That was this-
silver feathers,
the
and that
silver
was
feather.
not. This one, it has to go towards an entity that it would be the way I'm reading it. Actually, Karen Lawrence has seen this before. It will probably work through either the village or the township in administering it, and the money will go to them depending on who's working with it. And the group really hasn't decided totally what will be used. I would like it somewhat to be used on dimensional care for further.
No, if I remember correctly, when you won the silver feather, there was actually, you were happy because the Golden Feather at that time required a matching grant?
Well, it requires that you spend the money first and then you get reimbursed, that's the way I understand it. But